Just to remind
Yes, I
everyone,
want, thank you guys.
good evening.
Yes, hi, everybody.
Damon? Damon.
This meeting is being recorded and all votes will be roll call votes as we have a member who is joining us remotely. For those of you who didn't notice that the state has extended remote meetings for another 2 years, so we'll,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of February 3rd as written.
Second.
all those in favor?
Marty Roller, aye.
Eric Hodge, aye.
Only Racine, one.
Jay Gross, aye.
Damon, I.
All right, that is unanimous. So we'll move on to the next agenda item. We are passing over the 8 Morrison Drive 81P, is that correct? All right, we're passing over the Morrison Drive 81P. They're not, yeah, they're just not ready for it. Is for those of you who've been around a while, there used to be a road that cut through there. At Thornton Street Extension, used to cut that property in half. It basically took Thornton Street and went right across down an Inland Drive. That has been discontinued. So they're just getting their ducks in a row to bring before us when they. But yeah, it was. I believe back in the 90s it was discontinued. So when they're ready, they'll come back. Oh, that's a 7 Inland Drive. What's the Morrison Drive one? 81P.
That's part
That
of,
was in the minutes.
that was part of the minutes.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So then we will move on to. Yeah.
Do you have the agenda right here?
No, I don't. Here we go. All right. So we'll open the public hearing for the flood overlay district and amendment section 5.05 age restriction misuse overlay district. The Amending Plan Board will hold public hearings on April 7th at 6 p.m. at the Town Hall to review warrant articles for the annual town meeting. Warrant articles are number 1, amending zoning bylaws, 5.03 flood hazard overlay district, and 2, amending 5.05 age restricted mixed use overlay district. Copy of the proposed changes can be viewed by contacting Dylan or visiting the clerk's office. All right, so the meeting is open. I will let Dylan we'll start with the overlay, the flood hazard overlay district. And I'll let Dylan explain.
Mendon is an NFIP community, which means you participate in the National Flood Insurance Program through FEMA. Most towns in Massachusetts are part of NFIP. FEMA recently updated their regulations and everyone has to update their bylaws. So these are just legal changes that help us continue to offer flood insurance that's backed by FEMA to anyone in the community. I worked with Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation to make these changes. They had a model bylaw that I followed. So I kept some of what our bylaw used to say, but I changed a lot of it based on what their new recommendations are so that we're in compliance with the new FEMA regulations. If this doesn't pass, people might lose their flood insurance, or some maybe private flood insurances will go higher in cost. So it's great to be part of the NFIP because it offers a wide range of flood insurance to anyone.
Any members have any questions?
Watching Mendon is in the floodplain.
Oh, I was just asking.
There's little pockets here and there.
Not a lot, I don't think.
No. So it only really affects building structures in the floodplain or keeping temporary structures in the floodplain for a certain amount of time. But those small pockets, those are the people affected by the changes in the bylaw.
Yeah.
Whereas everyone else benefits from getting flood insurance if they want it.
What's your take on the requirements, right? I read through some of it. I mean, it was in some cases maybe kind of restrictive with what a homeowner or construction could be done, but
It's been that way. I don't think the restrictions have increased to a great extent.
Yeah.
I think building in the floodplain has for a while been.
Yeah, it's been, yeah.
This is a little higher in restrictions, like, you can't park like your RV in the floodplain for more than 90 days. I think that's a new one.
180,
Yeah.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, so it's, a few more restrictions. And then one of the big ones is that now we are naming a particular person designated as a floodplain administrator in town. So the conservation agent would be the floodplain administrator. Anyone building in the floodplain would just get another sign off from our conservation agent. She might need to help him with a little bit of paperwork, things like that.
That's kind of what I was thinking as I read through it. Does it make it just that much harder for people?
There's a
to-
little bit of paperwork, yeah. But most of the time, if they really want to build something in the floodplain, there's a different set of building code regulations that they follow.
Yeah.
It's up to that, and that's been.
Yeah, there's piles and all sorts of stuff you gotta do if you're gonna build in a floodplain, so
You might not want to anyway.
you might not, yeah, you might not.
Not worth the risk.
All right,
Are there any, like, what's the option? Sounds like really, if you're in a floodplain and you want to put an addition on your house or something like that, if you want to maintain your insurance, they really don't have a choice. Or they have to seek out a private insurer, maybe they pay more for insurance.
Yeah, I mean, this just affects the restrictions affect people who want to build in the floodplain.
yeah, it's part of the zoning.
And yeah, if we're not an NFIP community, if we don't pass this, then yeah, people would have to pay more for insurance and we wouldn't have any federally backed insurance. So no federally backed insurance, which would mean the cost would be higher probably, because there'd be less options. So
Right,
just by nature of having less options, it
Okay.
charge more.
Does any part of the bylaw imply that you're required to carry flood insurance?
What do you mean?
Like,
no, you're not required to carry flood insurance.
okay,
No, it's your risk,
yeah,
But
insurability is always a risk, but
Yeah, if you have a house, a property and you're prone to flooding, you can add on some flood insurance.
yeah, if you live on top of the hill, you're not obviously not gonna buy flood
Probably.
insurance. But anyways, is there,
So if you need a recommendation. So you want to do it once for all the changes, or you want to do what you want?
well, we got a separate change here that we gotta go
Yeah.
through. So let's do this one first and then we'll address the map change.
So make a motion to recommend that we accept the.
Before you do that, Barry, hold on. Any discussion from the, community? Any questions? Apparently not. Okay, go ahead, continue.
So I'll make a motion to recommend that we accept the changes, Article 503 flood hazard overlay district as amended.
Wait a second. Seconded. All those in favor?
I roll right.
Eric Hodge, aye.
Ambrosino, aye?
Jay Kraus, aye.
Damon Tenio, aye.
All right, unanimous. So that takes care of that. The last item of the night before we adjourn will be requested by the select board to take a look at rezoning the pieces on the corner. As you see on your map, it'd be item 3 and 6. They would like to attempt to rezone that to an R-MUD, which is age restricted development.
Watch out.
Yeah, the zoning bylaw for the RMUD is already written. And all the other areas you see noted are already approved for RMUD. The town would like to go and change, and we have one of the selectmen here this evening. There might be opportunities here for the town of Mendon to do some senior housing or some type of mixed use development. Some affordable, because the mixed use development bylaw is an affordable bylaw. So so just looking to broaden the scope of that parcel for the town.
Yeah, just 3 North Ave and 6 Milford.
Yeah, yeah, it's a corner property, the old Taft apple orchard, for those of you aware.
So this would be behind the bank
Yeah,
in the.
yeah, all that
mixed-use
property
commercial.
goes all the way out back and all the way down to within 200 feet of Muddy River. Mill River, excuse me. Within 200 feet of Mill River. I personally support this. It's the last time it went before the town. It lost by 1 vote. I think
What did,
this.
the senior center?
This bylaw. We tried this property, we tried rezoning it a while back. I think with the RMUD in place, it's a much, there's much more control over the property. There's much more, I think it's good for the town of Mendon to rezone this.
Is that the site that they were trying to do the senior center on?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so it would take
One of the,
the senior center?
well, no, it just adds additional zoning to it. They can still build a senior center on it. It just makes the remainder of the available property, because that's a pretty big property. It gives us opportunities to utilize the remainder of the property. I mean, if the town were to engage with a developer, who knows, maybe we can get the senior center for nothing. Now, it creates opportunities.
Okay, so it would have involved selling the land to a developer.
Either selling or engaging with the developer.
Okay.
Whatever that's out of my my jurisdiction. That's the select board's decision. But our job is to decide whether we want to send this to town floor and let the people decide, which I'm in favor of.
I agree.
What are possible drawbacks?
I don't see any for the town. There are some people that are trying to hold on to like old Mendon and don't think that it should ever be anything done, not even a senior center around. It should be left open. But I think that's changing. I mean, we have a lot of old Mendon moving out and a lot of new people moving in. So I think that line of thought has changed considerably over the last several years. I think something nice on that corner. I think the town would have an appetite for that.
I also
They
add,
certainly will, trying to put a senior center on that corner. So, I mean, if something's done correctly, I think it'd be,
Well, behind the retail, yeah.
yeah, I think it'd be good for the town.
so this is an overlay district.
Yeah.
The underlying zoning still exists.
Right.
This just opens an opportunity, but it doesn't mean that it needs to be used for that purpose.
Correct. Yeah, anytime we do an overlay, the underlying zoning is still in place. So if it wasn't used, they have to permit for an RMUD. The age restricted, mixed use overlay district, they need to specifically apply for that. If they don't, all the regular zoning still stays in place. They would have to meet all the initial zoning. So it doesn't absolve them of that. Even with the RMUD. And the underlying zoning still needs to be applied.
I'm confused as heck.
In other words, we got our regular zoning,
Yeah,
covers all the properties.
yeah,
Well, this is a separate written, it allows for, it's an affordable housing project for age restricted over 55
yeah.
communities. Reduces footprint zoning, stuff like that, specifics to the RMUD bylaw. And would allow someone to come in and build a small development. And it's a mixed use, so they could have, like, some of these places you see where they have, and what we're trying to do is create affordable units within the town that people can move and stay here. And to entice developers, you need to have a commercial contingent. Also, the people who live within that usually benefit from some type of commercial contingent, not a huge commercial, it's usually like stores under or something like that, nothing major, but it would be good, I think it'd be good for the community.
So,
I mean, I was a proponent of the RMUD in writing it, the one that's been approved. And, you know, we've already seen one development, you know, the old driving range that eventually will be turned, that's an RMUD project. And we've got a couple others here. I'm not sure they'll ever turn into them. They're kind of difficult pieces of property. So I'm not sure but I think this would be a good one to add to that mix, but.
so I guess my question still remains, how does adding it to the overlay district make it more attractive for development? I don't know.
Well, it would already be approved to an age restricted development, so they have the benefit of, they can either put something else on there. Or they can build an age restricted development, so it kind of
Oh,
opens up.
it's kind of an item. I thought it meant that they had to meet the higher bar for,
No,
okay,
If-
got
if
it.
you-
That was the part I was missing.
Just these properties in town are allowed to do an age restricted mixed use development.
right,
Gotcha,
Nowhere else is allowed to do
gotcha.
that. So
Okay,
that
that's,
it adds an option.
okay,
You
thank
can
you.
still do.
yeah,
anything
that's
else
why
in
it's
the
being
property.
done as an overlay, because we only allow it in certain.
Yeah,
particular-
everything else that these.
I guess I
properties
should
allow
explain that
now,
better.
You could still do that. You can still do a senior center, you can.
Yeah, you can do
it
anything.
as
you
is,
want
you
to.
can do
Yeah,
whatever.
the hand raising the audience.
Yeah.
I took my hand down.
I must answer your question.
No, I mean,
Okay,
I came before the board,
right,
before the special town meeting, and I think we all agreed it was too soon to do it then. And we come back in the spring, so it's really a follow-up, so I've worked with Bill and Dylan and Jack and everybody to bring this forward. So I would say from my perspective, the select board technically hasn't voted on anything like this yet, but I feel like there is some support for it. But we have a town asset, very valuable town asset at our disposal. We paid it off. And what we'd like to do is part of a larger effort to identify specific use for specific parcels is start to lay that out from a planning perspective. So this one, as Bill had said, we've done at least twice. When I was
Right.
select board, the first time we tried it,
yeah, it wasn't an RMUD, it
it
wasn't
was just, I think it was just mixed use.
mixed use, yeah.
But when we look at the opportunity, that size parcel, you would leave with the senior center. There were discussions about the remaining portion, so 2/3 of the lot size. Go back for something like this, it made sense when you start thinking about, you got senior center, or, people said fire station, but a municipal use at the top of the hill.
Right.
You've got the remaining parcel that is available for commercial development. We have a housing stock issue, if you will. So this seemed to be a nice target, given the other pieces of work going on. So it doesn't preclude doing any of those things or one of those things. It doesn't even mean that anything's going to happen. All this means is this gives us an understand marketability, ROI, if we're to move ahead with the project. Right now, we can't in good stand sit here and say, that property's worth X because we don't know what we can do with it yet. We put an overlay district in there, we can then start conversations, put feelers out there and understand what the opportunities are. So that's really what, this is trying to identify, okay, now that we can tell people what it can be done, used for, we can start to get a sense for what the value is.
And it gives the town a lot of control, and this is what people don't understand about bylaws. When I wrote the arm, it gave the town a lot of control over what that project ends up looking like. Where in prior to that, you couldn't even build a multi-unit housing in Mendon, period. This allows for that. Only on those particular spots. So it
Mike, can you see if
My
it's
God.
addressed.
Thank you. Actually, I'm used to this.
Yeah. So,
Like, was there any debate amongst the select board on the topic in terms of pros, cons,
In terms of
thoughts
Yeah, no.
about the concept?
yeah,
No,
everybody.
every report. And now if it on the, there is a warrant placeholder for it. So we'll be actually having more full votes in each of the articles in our next couple meetings. In fact, I'm gonna take step out at 6:30 for a quick call. Ballot language, but, my sense is everybody's full support, but I said I'm going to continue this discussion with planning board.
Right.
Last fall, and regularly, yes, absolutely going to do it. Jeremy was involved with our planning sessions, so everybody's very well aware of what we're doing here.
Yeah, and Jack Dillon and I engage with Mike and we talk about a few things other than doing this one entail and the approach of bringing it to town floor. Because sometimes it's all in the presentation to town floor, so people understand. And I think Mike and Dylan and I are gonna try and have something ready for town floor
Not trying.
to talk
Well,
about.
if it's gonna rain, we will have it ready.
Yeah,
Might be in town.
and hopefully it gets by this time. Like I said last time. Some 3-4 years ago anyways, I lost by 1 vote.
And if you
So-
look at the opportunity, so even I think Jay, you mentioned would sell the land, if that were the case, but proceeds from land sales, that's a funding source for capital.
Right.
Which we've done a great job the last couple of years moving in capital space, but some of the ARPA funding is gone. So getting new sources of funding.
Yeah, and one thing that has been, I mean, I grew up in this town, I farmed in this town. I mean, Mendon was a lot different when I was growing up. There were only a couple thousand people here and everybody knew everybody and it was a little different town back then. Now I sit here and I look at an opportunity, whether the town does something with a municipal project, which it still can do, or it does something like this and creates a tax benefit, which I've been looking at a piece of property for years and considering what the town has lost just in tax revenue. We paid enough for the property. We paid $3.1 million, got soaked on it. And we probably lost another couple million in tax revenue on it. So it's, we got some of it back when we leased the solar and sold the storage units on the other side. And the town just needs to grow up and decide what they want to do with this piece of property. And this just increases in opportunity for.
I think what's potentially challenging about this is the history of that property and how the voters have reacted to pretty much anything that is to the table as a potential project there. They're pretty.
Yeah, from a person who worked on that apple orchard, if people know what they did to that property, it would have been the last property we would have bought in town. I mean, we shot DDT on that property for years. I mean, that was part of the problem when the town bought it. They really couldn't do anything with it for like 20 years because there was arsenic in the soil. So, I mean, I'm not sure what everybody's historic evaluation is of that property. But it was just an apple orchard.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to predict how people will view
Right,
anything.
right.
today,
Well, that's why we
right?
take it to town
Today's thing.
floor
But
and they can,
the one thing that does come up a lot is municipal use. I mean, were there municipal uses or other municipal use cases that we haven't brought forward that people would like to see there?
Yeah, and I've talked about it in the past myself, but, you know what, if that comes up, and who knows, maybe we never get a taker on building something. I mean, the slope's pretty, tough there. So maybe we never get a taker, and the only avenue is for municipal use. Hey, I said before they built the police station over here, that should have ended up on that corner. Should never ended up here. But, you know, it is what it is at this point. I thought a police fire station would have been a much better idea for that corner, but
Voted down to,
yeah,
down forward, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you've got, one, I think this is just about providing an opportunity to discuss.
Yeah, it's just an
No
additional-
action being taken, doesn't preclude anything.
yeah,
No problem.
But we can't move ahead with any serious conversation, understanding what the best optimal use is without something like this.
yeah. And just like the senior said, or whatever ends up going, that direction needs to be voted on, you know, any type of municipal building anyways. It need to be approved by the people of the town. But if not, it gives the select board an opportunity to utilize it for something else. You know, so, so who knows?
Thanks, Mike. What's the vote? Is it majority? Is it 2/3?
Majority.
Change.
Bylaw change, it's a majority, majority. I'm always a believer that you put something on town floor and let the people decide. You know, it's, select board has come to us, asked us. I thought it was a good idea. We've discussed it, Dylan and I and Mike and, Jack at the time. Figure we bring it before the board, take a look at it. But once again, I'm always a believer that going to town floor and letting the people decide is always a good thing. You know, people can make their own judgment. So, any other questions? All right, I move to amend the town zoning map to include three North Ave
And 6 Milford Street.
and 6 Milford Street to the Mud. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Bill.
All right. All those in favor?
All right.
Eric Hodge, aye.
Bill Ambrosino, aye.
Jay Cross, nay.
Damon Tenio, aye.
All right, with that, it's approved, and we'll go to town floor. And we will allow the people to make the decision.
Bill, quick question. What about the other pieces of property? I didn't hear you notify that. I mean, those are not being supported by the town?
Which ones?
I just.
No, all the other ones on that map are already approved for
Already
our,
on there, yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, we did them already. Yes.
yeah, we did that already.
Okay, sounds good. Motion to adjourn?
Yeah, other than that, that's the last motion I need tonight.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye, roll aye.
Damon, aye.
All
Have a good night, guys.
right, let's go home.